has birthed remarkable innovations, none more so than the rise of intelligent machines. Computers, once more calculators, have evolved into sophisticated systems capable of mimicking human thought processes. Powered by artificial intelligence, AI, these systems are learning, problem solving, and making decisions that were once exclusive domain of humans. From accelerating scientific discovery to tackling climate change, AI's potential is vast, but perhaps its most profound impact lies in healthcare. Artificial intelligence, AI, it's no longer a futuristic concept. It's here with the potential to revolutionize patient care, diagnosis, and treatment. AI is emerging as a powerful tool in the hands of medical professionals. From detecting diseases early to optimizing treatment plans, AI is demonstrating remarkable capabilities. It can analyze vast amounts of medical data to identify patterns and predict outcomes, aiding in more accurate diagnosis. Also, AI-powered robots are assisting in surgeries, improving precision, and reducing recovery times. However, despite its promises, challenges persist. Concerns about data privacy, ethical implications, and the need for robust regulatory frameworks are hindering widespread AI adoption. To fully unlock AI's potential in healthcare, collaborative efforts are essential. Healthcare providers, researchers, policymakers, and technology companies must work together to develop and implement AI solutions responsibly. By addressing ethical concerns, investing in AI research, and creating supportive regulatory environments, we can accelerate the integration of AI into healthcare and improve patient outcomes. Joy Chuma, SOUQ News.
The National Assembly, in collaboration with the African Development Studies Center, ADSC, held a 5-day national capacity building workshop on treaties, agreements, and protocols for federal MDAs, with the theme Enhancing Institutional Capacity for Effective Treaty Negotiation, Implementation, and Oversight in Nigeria. Honorable Barrister Rabiu Yusuf, Chairman of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols, and Agreements in the 10th Assembly, highlighted the importance of strengthening the skills of key government officials in treaty processes.
At this particular moment of our country, we need a situation whereby all the stakeholders involved in external engagement with other countries, particularly state and the federal governments, and mostly MDAs of the at national level, to ensure that they are aware, they know what it takes, they know how it will be, and they know what it takes to ensure the institutionalized democracy and the legal approach as far as ratification, engagement, domestication of treaties. That is why the 10th National Assembly, under the able leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, mandated our committee, pursuant to Section 12 sub 2 of the Constitution, that we should reach out to all necessary stakeholders who are personally stakeholders on this engagement to ensure they know how it takes and they know how to execute it. Basically, that is the reason we are conducting this exercise.
Actually, I think there is no point for me to deliver my remark at this time, because I'm very much aware that my remarks have been delivered yesterday in extension. So in either words, I will just say I really sincerely appreciate your presence in this program, and I believe it will go far in helping the system, stimulating the system, and work for the Nigerian progress. So I wish you a fruitful discussion and a successful outcome. Thank you very much.
The major challenge, everybody is going silo, in the sense that we are not trying to bring ourselves into the same table to ensure that before you find any entity, be it state, local governments, or federal entity, as far as engagement is concerned with other outside world, you need to know there are provisions of the Constitution which you need to comply. Failure to comply with that provision of the Constitution, whatever you do, it will go to a nullity, invalid, and is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution. And to the extent of that inconsistency, it is null and void, and of no effect whatsoever. So we're trying to avoid this scenario whereby at national level or at international fora, Nigeria will be embarrassed because the stakeholders, the principal actors, they didn't even know what they are doing. So that is why we decided at this particular moment it is ripe and necessary to ensure that we engage with unnecessary stakeholders. That is the basic reasons for engaging these activities. Actually, I recommend their effort to any other entity because if you can see, most of them, they are legal luminaries. They know their audience, they know what they are doing. So I really appreciate, they did a very wonderful job. And I sincerely appreciate. That's the main reason that I say I need to be here in Lagos, at least to supervise the happening in Lagos. And I'm impressed. Engagement with outside world, it is two ways. It is going to be either bilateral or multilateral. So with this kind of workshop, or with this kind of discourse, we believe the principal actors will now know what it takes to enter a treaty. And if they comply with what they are taught in this session, if they advise their principal when they go back to their respective MDA on the right way to go, I believe most of the treaties will be legally binding in Nigeria, provided they follow the procedure laid down by the Constitution. The future is bright. And the future, we will ensure in the future that all the treaties, all the agreements, all the international protocols are being observed to the latter, are being protected and enforced as it is enshrined in the Constitution. And with this kind of workshop, we believe we will create a series of avenues whereby we will engage other parties, other necessary stakeholders. We just set the ball rolling and we will be there, inshallah.
Also sharing insights on the workshop, the clerk of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements discussed the value of the training in improving the understanding and application of international agreements across MDAs. He noted that the engagement served as an eye-opener, equipping participants with tools for more effective negotiation and oversight.
I'm a Nigerian, I'm a citizen of Nigeria, and I want Nigeria to benefit from its interaction with international community, and it starts from things like this. For us to be able to interact well, we need to know what it entails to engage in the international community. When we are talking about treaties, what does it entail to enter into treaties? How do we do that? How do we negotiate? How do we implement? How do we oversight as a parliament? So it is my duty as a clerk of the committee to advise the chairman and the committee members on how to go on all these issues. And also very instrumental to the organization of this workshop today. Our partners, the facilitators, are very, very excellent. We appreciate them. And it's also a collaborative effort between us and them. And so far, so good. What we have ensured so far has been fantastic. The participants are very, very impressed. I myself am impressed. And I also, there are some things I'm taking home. For instance, now, Nigerians used to think before that our negotiators who negotiate treaties will just go abroad, go on tea party, shopping, but it's not more the case. By what I'm seeing here now, I can see experts, technocrats who know their honors, who take the bull by the horn and do what it's supposed to do. That one has been established. Even our facilitators can attest to that as well. Another thing is that the quality of ideas being shown and being given us here is very, very apt to our situation presently, so that we can apply in our situation in Nigeria. And going forward, if this lesson continues, it's going to impact a lot, because MDs, many of the MDs are here, even state governments, like Kogi State Government is here, the SSG is here, the Attorney General of Plateau State was also here, and also some top directors in the federal MDA, they are here. So it's a high-class, high-level engagement workshop. We are in a political environment, I must tell you that. But we technocrats are supposed to be the advisors and movers of policies. So they don't need to bend. They need to stick to the rule. And I also to advise our government, our leaders, that as well as they are making policies, they should also consider the benefits, the interest of the country, not just politics. They should not play politics with it. They should consider the interest of the country first, and also the people. It's an appeal that everybody that has a responsibility to do, either in the public service, or in private sector, in government, do your responsibility as much as you can, in a good faith, in sincerity. Don't put your personal interests above national interests.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be here to make the closing remarks on behalf of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, 10th National Assembly, Right Honorable Tajudeen Abbas. He has mandated me to deliver this goodwill closing remarks. We appreciate your time, your dedication, and your effort in trying to attend this program and attentively pay attention to the discourse and the further issue being deliberated here. And it is believed that this message you have learned here, or what you have learned here, will be passed towards your chief executive officers, and at the same time you will guide them achieving the necessary mandates in deciding issues of treaties, obligation of treaties, and what have you. So at this juncture, on behalf of the Right Honourable Speaker, we wish you a safe return to your various destinations, and we believe you will pass the message to all other necessary stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much indeed. My name is Stephen Kola Balogun. I happen to be a lawyer, and should I call myself a pseudo-politician? Not quite a politician, but I've served in government before, and I'm delighted to be here. Well, thank you very much. Well, yes, is it my family or the wider family? I mean, like I said, I'm the son of Chief Dr. Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Like I said, he was a former politician, a frontline politician. He was the General Secretary of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, later National Council of Nigerian Citizens. He was the General Secretary of that party for about 8 years. From there, he was appointed by SOUQ to become a federal minister. He was initially a federal minister without portfolio. Consequently, after that, he became acting minister for labor and social services, and then he became Nigeria's first federal minister for information in 1956. He held that portfolio to 1958. Thereafter, he resigned from government. He had disagreement with the party, and Tafawa Balewa felt that he was a useful politician that could be sent to Ghana. And he went to Ghana to find out what was. Ghana was a bit ahead of us in terms of politics at the time. And I think it's fair to say they got independence just before us. And Tafawa Balewa wanted someone to understudy, to find out what we're doing. So he sent Kola Balogun there. Initially, he was commissioner, and later, when we gained independence in 1960, he became High Commissioner. Shortly after that, when we became independent, he yearned to come home. He wanted to take part in the new political atmosphere at the time. He asked the Prime Minister to relieve him, to let him come back, and he did come back home. And immediately he took up the position of being chairman of the National Shipping Line. That was the position he held on to until the military struck in 1966. But even then, when the military did strike in 1966, he still continued. I think General Debayo of blessed memory invited him to join his cabinet, and he served as a commissioner for about 3 years or more. I think he was commissioner for health and was commissioner for education. Later, he also became chairman of the sketch group of companies as well. And that was about it. I think after his stint in government, he decided to go and do a PhD at the University of Ibadan. And then he went back into private legal practice. And then he started this agitation for the creation of Osun State. He and a few others set up the movement. He was the chairman of the movement. And then to the glory of God, in 1991, Osun State was created. And that's it.
Tell us about mommy.
Well, yes, my mother. Well, in those days, the women once were not so much in the forefront, But my mother has been my bedrock. She stood by me, and she has backed me in most of the things I've set out to do, And she's still alive. She's 89 this year, and she's still doing well, and she's still
and your wife
going
and
strong.
The kids?
Yes, my children. Yes, I have 3 girls, 3 daughters. My oldest is 31. She studied at King's College London. She did reasonably well. She got a 7th class upper. Proud of her. She's an art curator today. And I have twin girls as well who are also in university now, that they haven't graduated yet. One of them is in Oxford University. She's studying history and politics. And the other is in Cambridge University. She's studying human, social, and political sciences. So, yeah. I did. My father, Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Yes, he was in the first cabinet in the First Republic, the first ever cabinet Nigeria had, and he served as the Federal Minister of Information and Research. As a matter of fact, he happened to be Nigeria's first information minister. Later, T.O.S. Benson, of course, became the independent Nigeria's first information minister, but independent Nigeria. But Nigeria's first ever information minister happened to be Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. No, I didn't. I took an opposite route from my father. My father went into politics immediately after he finished his education, and then he now ventured into law a little bit later. I decided to look at things differently. I thought that after academics I should practice law a bit, and that's what I've been doing. But at some point, I think that was in about 2011, I was called upon to serve in the Osun State government as a commissioner, and I took up that opportunity, and I enjoyed myself. Well, I am in the sense that I'm 65 years old now, and I think it's fair to say that we belong to, well, I would say the first set, but one of those who benefited from Nigerian education. I schooled here. I went to secondary school in the West. I went to the University of Ife, went to the Nigerian Law School. And I think it's fair to say that all the schools at that time were of high quality, produced top quality students who went on to make names for themselves, not just here in Nigeria, but also abroad. I think we still do that now, even though the standard of education has dropped. The sad thing about it is that Nigeria could have been a lot better in terms of the potential, because Nigeria does have a lot of potential. We do have very brilliant young men and women, you know, and I just think that if we had invested more in education, that we could have, the sky would have been the limit, actually. Well, my take on this is that it's the system of law itself. As a young lawyer, I experienced a few challenges myself, and I think one of the obvious challenges is the appeal structure. It's too easy to appeal against judgments. At the same time, when you file actions in court, there are no penalties for costs. In other words, I can file a frivolous action. I could insult you, as an example, and then you could sue me. And I say to myself, well, I'm going to eke it out. I'm going to take it. You're going to have to take me all the way to the Supreme Court. That doesn't make sense. That's not fair. On the other hand, I could also file a frivolous application against you. And then filing a frivolous application, I could call you something you are not. I could defame you. And in so doing, you expect at least that once you prove your case, that I will be made to pay the penalties for filing frivolous applications. But that doesn't happen. And then, of course, the conditions of the judges. I mean, the judges are still writing longhand. They do trials, they sit there, they listen to witnesses, give evidence, and they have to write all these things down longhand. So there's so many challenges that has hampered the progress of law. And there hasn't been enough investment, I must say. Well, I agree with that, and I'm going to give an example as to how that I think we could possibly do that. Now, the Supreme Court hears everything. It's the final court in Nigeria, so they're going to hear issues related to criminal law, civil matters, constitutional matters, as you know, all these matters that's got to do with elections, and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, when we have an election cycle, the legal system slows down because the judges are hampered. They're too busy listening to the various appeals from the various states and the federal government to do with the elections. So as a consequence, the other matters to deal with shipping, banking, criminal law are put on the back burner. I think we need what you call a constitutional court, whereby which the judges in the Supreme Court are divided. So you have those judges whose responsibility it is entirely to deal with constitutional matters, and then you have another set whose duty will be to deal with shipping, banking, civil matters, criminal matters, and so on and so forth. So I believe it's high time Nigeria has a constitutional court to try and aid the Supreme Court with the workload they have, which is, quite frankly, quite a bit. Well, Nigerians, with respect, are very brilliant, very intelligent, and they are very aware. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a tailor, you're a driver, you're a lawyer, engineer, they are quite well informed. And the truth of the matter really is that this is the longest republic we've had. This republic started in 1999, and this is 2025, so 26 years. Nigeria's never had a republic this long. But the main flaw is the one you just mentioned. The fact that that constitution that was bequeathed to us by the military in 1999 was never really approved by the people. Now, that doesn't make sense, and that's unfair. In fairness, we ought to be able to look at the constitution, improve upon it, and put our own input into it. Now, there's a way around that, and I've always believed, many people oppose this, but I'm of the view that what Nigerians need to have is a referendum. Have a referendum to ask the Nigerian people whether they want to persist with the 1999 Constitution, or do they want to drop a new one? If the answer to that question is yes, we want to drop a new constitution, then that puts paid to the 1999 Constitution, and then you can now have a system, a constituent assembly, whatever the case may be, where people will sit around the table and fashion out a new constitution. If the people say no, that means they've indirectly approved the 1999 Constitution, and then we continue with it. But what we can't do is continue having this debate, these arguments as to whether the 1999 Constitution has been approved by Nigerians or not, because it has not been. So I think the way around that is to ask the Nigerian people through a referendum, asking them whether they want to persist with this Constitution. If they say no, then we have a new one. If they say yes, we continue with the old one. And that ends the debate. Every system has its merits. Every system has its advantages and disadvantages. To some extent, the presidential system of government has an advantage. It has the advantage in the sense that it has brought government nearer to the people. So the people of Osun, from where I'm from, for instance, now have their own state. Same thing can be said. It's been replicated across the country. However, the drawbacks, the disadvantage is the fact that it's extremely expensive. Now, look at Nigeria, for instance. Now we have 36 state governments, so that means we have 36 governments in Nigeria. If you add the government of Abuja, if you add the federal government, that's 38. Now, each one of these governments have some form of legislature, judiciary, an executive as well, local government, civil service. It's too expensive. Look, in America, where we borrowed this system from, the states came together to form a union. This is totally different. We are doing it the opposite way. So we've had a structure that we're now going back. So at the end of the day, many of these state governments are still dependent on the federal government. And as a consequence, the kind of progress we ought to be making, we're not quite making it. So I personally, and this is a personal view because others would disagree, I would prefer that we reduce the size of government by having some kind of regional structure. And I believe that that will reduce the burden of governments. And if we can reduce the burdens of government, we can use this money to do many other things. And I also think it will also improve standards as well. Not just standards of government or parliamentary standards or whatever the case may be, but there'll be less people involved in the political system. And that would help us a great deal. Well, I think it's fair to say that since 1999, we haven't had any new state creation. I know there's been agitation for the creation of states, but there hasn't been any. The process for creating a state is quite cumbersome. It's not easy. I think it's in Section 8 and 9 of the Constitution. I don't think it's something we should be looking at. I think, like I said to you earlier, I think we should be trying to reduce the number of states, and I think some kind of regional structure whereby which we can monitor better what's going on rather than having more states. So I personally would not encourage the creation of more states, no. In the 1950s, we had 3 regions, if I'm correct. Those regions were the West, the East, and the North. We had the colony of Lagos, but if I'm right, I think it was the MacPherson Constitution, I think it is, I'm not too sure, that now put Lagos under the Western region. Now, when Lagos was placed under the Western region, lots of people were not happy about that. I remember my father was in the NCNC. The NCNC people were not particularly pleased, neither were the NPC, because they felt that Lagos belonged to everybody. Like you said, lots of people from different walks of life, different tribes, different backgrounds, and all schooled. I mean, Zik schooled in Lagos. He went to MBHS. So the issue was sent to London to arbitrate. I think it was Oliver Littleton that arbitrated over the matter. And it was decided that Lagos should stand on its own, that Lagos should not be merged with any of the regions. And that was how Lagos was able to free itself from the shackles of the Western region. It's fair to say that the position of the NCNC was actually argued in London by my father. That's why I'm quite familiar with this. But talking about Lagos, when the military, after that, we had what you called a minister for Lagos. I think there was Ribadu, and I think there was one other person, but I think it was Yaradua, not the same Yaradua, but his father. And then later after that, when the military struck, they created the state of Lagos. So the issue of giving Lagos special status has more or less been taken over by events. Lagos is a state, and as a state, it's still home to different people with different backgrounds, from different tribes, and it's thriving. I think it's fair to say that Lagos is probably the most prosperous state in the country. And it's just a question of its continuing with good governance and improving the strides they have made. Once again, let's go back to the past. We had what we used to call the House of Chiefs, wasn't it? And in those House of Chiefs, many of the members of the House of Chiefs were people, were traditional rulers, chiefs from different backgrounds, and they had a say in the running of the affairs of state. It's like it was more or less akin to the House of Lords. So it wasn't necessarily the chamber whereby which the activities of day-to-day governance took place, but they could always refer issues to them. And I think that if we change our structure of governance, and if, that's a big if, then yes, we can have something like that. We can have a second chamber, which is more or less advisory in nature, similar to the House of Lords, whereby which we will have obas and chiefs and people of influence who will be able to advise government from day to day from of the experiences and the way forward, but not necessarily binding. I think that's important. That decisions won't necessarily be binding on us, but at least they'll be able to share their views and experiences with the people. That's a big issue. I was commissioner for youth in Oshun about 10 years ago under Rauf Aregbesola, and it was an issue we took quite seriously. In Oshun State, we had quite a number of youths who are unemployed, and the governor thought, what can I possibly do to give them something to do, to keep them employed? So he created what we call the Osun State Youth Empowerment Scheme. Now, under the State Youth Empowerment Scheme, unemployed youths were given particular tasks in state. Help us sweep the roads. Some were part-time lecturers. Some were doing all sorts of things. They were given a stipend. It wasn't a full-blown salary. Or the salary, although the stipend was enough to keep them to be able to buy things, to be able to buy themselves drinks and food, and kept them occupied until they could find themselves a job. And I think the federal government could follow that kind of scheme, set up a youth empowerment scheme whereby which unemployed youths are given things to do. There's so many things that need to be done in Nigeria. There's so many gaps whereby which the youths can help do that. In the interim, while they find themselves something more gainful or something more permanent. So it's a question, it's for government to do. It's for government to think of a way of helping out the youths. And of course, there should be partnerships, a partnership between the government and private enterprise to try and encourage them to take on more of our youths, and not necessarily those who have schooled abroad, who they think are probably the best in terms of employment. No, we have many here who can do a good job as well. sustaining democracy is about discipline. It's about the people being disciplined. It's about those who rule us being disciplined. I started out by telling you that this is the longest government we've had. It's the longest republic we've had. We've had democracy now since 1999, 26 years. If you go back to the days of independence, there's been no republic that has been this long. So it shows that the people have embraced democracy. They've come to it's part of us now. They've come to enjoy it. Yes, there are hiccups in terms of the fact that we could do a lot better in terms of how we implement things. But in terms of the people yearning for democracy and imbibing it, I think we've done very well. And what we just need to do is just to try and perfect it. One of the ways, like I said much earlier, is to perhaps take a second look at the Constitution, see where areas where we can improve, and try and make people happy, and at the same time reduce the cost of governance. But I don't think democracy is going anywhere. I think it's here to stay.
The Eyo Festival, also known as the Adamu Orisha, is a traditional Yoruba festival unique to Lagos Island in Lagos State, the center of excellence. It is one of the most iconic cultural events in Lagos and serves as both a spiritual ceremony and a public spectacle. Eyo dates back to the 19th century, though original traditions suggest its origin may be older. It began as a rite of passage for the transition of a deceased Oba or High Chief in Lagos. In today's special report, Bayo Olaoye traces the antecedent and the genesis of this renowned cultural event. The first recorded Eyo festival was held in 1854 to commemorate the passing of Oba Akintoye. Over time, it also became a celebration for the installation of a new Oba or to honor prominent Lagosians. The Eyo festival is rooted in Yoruba religion and spiritual practices, specifically those of the Orisha cult. It is particularly associated with the Adamu Orisha, a deity representing ancestors and spiritual guardians. The Eyo festival is essentially a masquerade festival. The masqueraders are called Eyo, and each represents a spirit of the ancestors. These Eyo figures are customized in flowing white robes with large hats and face coverings. They carry opas, known as batons or staff, used to generally discipline those who break festival rules. The Eyo festival can also be described as a spiritual cleansing of the land and people and used to escort the soul of a deceased noble into the afterlife. It invokes blessings and peace for the community, purges the city of evil spirit and misfortunes. The festival is organized by 5 major Eyo groups or Igas, also known as palaces, each with its own color and significance. Eyo Adimu, black, is housed in Iga Adimu. Eyo Laba, which is recognized by its red color, has Iga Idungoron as its palace, while Eyo Oniko, renowned for its yellow color, stays at Iga Oniko. Iga Ologede, with its green color, will reside at Iga Ologede, and Eyo Agere, with its purple color, stays at Iga Agere. The main day of the festival is called Oye Day, which falls on Saturday. Prior to this, there are several rituals leading to the Akoko Day, where announcements are made and various traditional rites are performed. What are the rules, regulations, and etiquettes? During the festival, what are the do's and don'ts? During the festival, certain items and behaviors are prohibited, such as wearing of sandals and shoes, since everyone goes barefoot during this period. Also prohibited is the use of motorcycles and bicycles, while public smoking is not allowed, as well as the wearing of hats and caps. Violators are often corrected gently with the Okpa by the Eyo. What about the modern evolution of Eyo Festival as a potential for tourism development? While originally a sacred rite, the Eyo Festival has become a major cultural attraction prominently showcased during Nigeria's independence celebration in 1960, and in subsequent years, it has been used to honor dignitaries and promote the heritage of Lagos. It does not occur annually, but rather on special occasions, often at the discretion of the Lagos monarch or Bar of Lagos as the custodian of the tradition. The festival combines ritual, theater, music, and community spectacle, and it is often considered a precursor to the modern Nigerian carnival. The Eyo Festival has inspired modern performances and literature in Nigeria and reflects the depth of Yoruba spirituality, the importance of ancestors, and the interplay between tradition and modernity. Olumide Shokoya reporting for Souqnews TV.
Olumorok, Lishabi, and the people of Egala, a story of resilience and transformation. Telling the story from afar may not be as beautiful as visiting the historical scene for a more engaging storytelling.
I welcome you to the foot of Olumorok. So climbing the rock is in two ways. Either you go through the panoramic elevator or the stairs, but whichever way you choose to go through, I'm assuring you are going to land at the topmost part of Olumorok safely. So Olumorok is like every other rock you've ever climbed or know about, but it plays an important role in the life of the people of Egba during an intertribal war between the Egba and Old Empire.
History and culture are the intertwined thread that shape the identity of a people, offering a glimpse into their past struggles, triumphs, and the rich traditions that continue to define their presence.
So from here we can have the glance view of the immediate environment around Olumorok, because Olumorok is centered at the middle of Abeokuta. But when we get to the topmost part on Olumorok, we are going to seen at less of a king in palace, as we have the Otunba and Osioba as the two top positions to the king. According to the custom and tradition of Yoruba, when a chief died, they bury the chief either at the front of his house, at his bedroom, or at his backyard. He must never be taken to a cemetery. That was why Baba was buried here. And this rostry roof building is the family house of Chief Sonny. The family has an extension. Baba dies on the 23rd of January 1956. 20 years after his death, government took over this place as a tourist site. That was why government decided to fence the family house so that they will not be blocking up the passage of the tourists. So the people of Egba took refuge here during an intertribal wars. The war started in 1830. Then the people of Egba were under old Oyo Empire. They basically want freedoms and where to settle. That was why they consulted the Ifa Oreku for lead. Ifa instructed the Egbas to come and settle there. On their way coming down, they met a man on the road. The name of the man is called Adagba. Adagba was a great hunter farmer. He was the one that discovered Olumo Rock during his hunting process. During those periods, the entire city of Abeokuta was thick forest. Only the powerful ones and the warriors that could come around to do anything and return back home alive. But when the fire instructed the Egbas to come, Shodeke, who was one of the founding fathers of Egba land, led the people of Egba down here. And they were here for years. During their stay, they took the natural suspension shape of the rock advantage and built their rooms. The rock is naturally standing. They only took the advantage of the shape and built their room. So the rock served as the roof of the room. 4 of the rooms they built has collapsed, remains only that. Those are the signs of the fallen rooms. That was where they kept wives and children. Men and warriors will surround the rock so that the enemy will not gain access to this place. All these holes we are seeing on the surface of the rock, that was where they do their grindings. Like we use blenders now, Yoruba call it oluata. So the process of their grindings make the holes dip like this. After the war in 1833, the people of Egba asked from Ifa Oreku to confirm maybe they should leave this place to go back to where they came from. Ifa told them to keep on dwelling here, that this is where God has put an end to their problems. And that's how they derived the name to the rock, Olufimo. Olufimo means where God put an end to all our tribulations. Ibiti Oluwa fi ogun wàhálà ti dààmú ayé wa mọ̀ sí Olufimo. But people later shorten it to Olumo to gain a very short word. Another meaning to Olumo, Olu in a Yoruba land means God. That's God Almighty. Mo means mode or molded. The people then believe that God benevolently molded the rock for them so that they can take their refuge under it. Oluwa ló mọ̀ fún wa láti fi ṣe ibi ìsádi kúrò lọ́wọ́ ọ̀tá. God molded the rock for our refuge. So when they came out from the rock, others were asking the Egbas of their whereabouts, and they told them, hid ourselves under the rock. Under the rock or beneath the rock in Yoruba means Abe Okuta. And that was how the name got changed from Egba, and they started referring to them as Omo Abe Okuta. Also, the popular city of Abe Okuta started from here. So if you have been anywhere around the town and you have not visited here, you haven't been to Abe Okuta.
The name Olumo is derived from the Yoruba words Olu means God and Mo meaning molded, signifying God-molded rock. This reflects the deep spiritual connection the Egba have with the rock, seeing it as a divine creation that shaped their destiny. Today, the rock remains not only a historical site, but a place of cultural rituals, including annual sacrifices.
Over here we have the main shrine of Olumo Rock, the main shrine of the rock. The main shrine is a local temple where the people of Egba worship and make sacrifices to the deities of Olumo Rock. Olumo Rock is an historical monument. It's also a symbol of Egba unity, strength, and unfailing protection. Because under the rock, the people of Egba took refuge during an intertribal war. And after the war, the rock has become a deity. That is why Egba people offer sacrifice to Olumo Rock once in a year with a big black cow. During the festival, only 2 people have access to enter the shrine. That is why the shrine is always locked. And the 2 people are the paramount ruler of Egba land, that's Alake of Egba land, and the chief priest. The chief priest is called Abore in the Yoruba land. Other traditional rulers in Abeokuta invited guests, indigenous of Abeokuta, will stay outside to say amen to his prayer. During the festival, the Alake of Egba land will pray for the whole nation. He prayed for Egba unity, also the climbers of Olumo Rock, so that they will not fall. No one has ever fallen while climbing the rock. Also at the shrine, traditional believers always come to make their requests in prayers. When the prayer is answered, those that made pledges while praying will come back to redeem their pledge, ensuring appreciation to Almighty God and to Olumo that interceded for them. That is why you have those feather, blood, and cloth on the face of the shrine. Those are the sign of pledges people have been returning. And the people refer to the rock as Olumo Abelowo, Abelomo, Abeloro, Asadi Mulu Egba, There are 4 traditional rulers in Abeokuta: Laki of Egbaland, the paramount ruler of Egbaland, Oshilo of Okiono, Agura of Bagura, and Oluwu of Uwu. Traditional believers always come to make their requests in prayers. Maybe they're looking for words, children, or anything in life. So when the prayer is answered, those are made pledges while praying. We usually come back with their pledges. That's why we have those feather blood and stuff on the face of the shrine. Those are the sign of the pledges. And the people refer to the rock as Olumo Abelowo, Abelomo, Abeloro, Asadi Muluegba, meaning a deity you can pray through for words, children, and every other good things in life.
You might be wondering about the historical issues between Oyo and the Egba people. How Oyo to exert control over them. The western region of Nigeria, primarily composed of Yoruba descendants, was dominated by the Oyo Empire, a powerful political entity that rose to prominence around the 15th century. By the 18th century, Oyo had become one of the largest and most influential states in West Africa, known for its sophisticated governance, military strength, and expansive trade networks, controlling neighboring kingdoms, including the Egba. The governance of the Oyo Empire was centralized under the Alafi, the king, who was supported by a council of advisors and provincial governors. This structure enabled the empire to maintain stability and enforce laws across its vast territories. At its peak, Oyo thrived economically through agriculture, trade, and craftsmanship, establishing itself as a vibrant economic hub. However, its involvement in the transatlantic slave trade created significant instability in the region, leading the Egba people to seek independence from Oyo's control. Who is Lishabi? No story about the Egba people is complete without mentioning Lishabi, the legendary warrior whose courage and strategic leadership freed the Egba people from the oppressive dominance of the Oyo Empire. Lishabi heroism is etched deeply in the annals of Yoruba history, as he led a rebellion that broke the chance of subjugation and paved the way for Egba autonomy. Lishabi Agbongbo Akala, a native of Itoku, Abeokuta, was not just a fearless leader, but also a tactician. In the late 18th century, the Egba were subject to heavy taxation and constant exploitation under Oyo's rule. To resist this, Lishabi secretly mobilized a group of Egba farmers and hunters into a covert warrior society called Egbearo, a vital step in organizing the rebellion. With his deep understanding of the terrain and his influence over his people, Lishabi led a series of coordinated guerrilla attacks against Oyo forces stationed in the Egba region. His strategy was not one of open warfare, but a methodical plan to undermine Oyo's authority. By ambushing Oyo tax collectors and military detachments, Lishabi weakened the empire's grip over the Egba. His leadership unified the Egba people, turning their frustration with Oyo into a force for liberation. Following their eventual victory, the Egba people were freed from the oppressive rule. In 1830, this newfound freedom led to the establishment of Abeokuta, meaning under the rock, a city founded under the protective watch of Olumorok. Olumorok provided both a literal and symbolic refuge as it sheltered their people during their struggle for independence. From this safe haven, the Egba built a thriving community rooted in agricultural trade and craftsmanship, becoming a key cultural and economic hub in the region. Today, Lishabi Agbongbu Akala's legacy is celebrated not just as a warrior, but as a symbol of unity and resilience. His actions not only ensured the survival of the Egba people, but also contributed to the rich historical and cultural fabric of Abeokuta and the entire Yoruba as a whole. By the mid-19th century, Abeokuta had attracted European missionaries like Thomas Freeman, whose introduction of Western education and Christianity left a lasting influence on the community.
Inscription about the just a little write-up. The next spot is where we used to have the mamas. So this was one of the water pots they drank from there. Yoruba call it cocoa. It's for water storage and preservation. Water point is as cold as water from the refrigerator, but it has been cemented for proper preservation. The Yellow Risha, they are here as the custodians of the rock, and people do come to them for spiritual consultation and a whole lot more. So this is a crown tree. Crown tree. Yoruba call it Igia Cocoa. If a king has to be installed, or they want to make a chieftaincy title in the Yoruba land, they pluck from the leaf away a cocoa to coronate king. But this very one is mainly used for the paramount ruler of this town, Lake of Egala, only for him. And the tree has been growing there for over 250 years. It doesn't grow than this. It has been. Poster of the newly studied Yalumo, she's 98 years of age. And this is a poster reflecting the old Yalumo. She died at the age of 137 years, over 2 years ago now. They have a deity they worship here. They call it Orisha Igu. Orisha Igu. That's the deity that controls longevity. They believe the more they worship, the longer they live. So they have other deities around. One of such is Orisha Ojubo Baluaye. Baluaye is the deity that controls chickenpox and measles. Yoruba call it Shopono. So if chickenpox or measles striking all over, they do consultation from here. So whatever instruction they get, so once they follow it, everything that comes up will disappear at the go. So that's Ojubo Baluaye right there. And this Ogun, God of Iron, the famous.
My name is Muiba Wonu Folami, an indigenous of Lagos State, Ikorodu, to be specific. I was born in Lagos 86 years ago, and to the glory of God, I'm still alive and well, and trying to be a relative in the cause of women. I attended primary school. I started at Ansarudin Alakuru School. From there to CMS Girls School, and then Queen's College, Lagos. From Queen's College, I went to the Portsmouth College of Technology for my A-levels, and then University of London for my first degree in law. The same university for my master's degree in law. I had, between obtaining my master's and my first degree, I was in Nigeria to do the mandatory law school course. I was one of the last people to do a 3-month course before it was changed to 1 year. And then went back to England for my master's. And from there to lecture at the University of Zambia. Back to Nigeria, I was appointed by Dr. Taslim Elias, the CJ of Nigeria, to the Commission for Advanced Notice to Lawyers of Developments in Law. It was a commission funded by the Ford Foundation to keep lawyers abreast of the developments in law. I was a director there. Then from there, I was admitted to the Federal Ministry of Justice. After being legal advisor to many ministries, I ended up as the Director of Public Prosecutions for the Federation. And after that, whilst I was the Director of DPP, I was appointed Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Lagos State. After retirement, I've been involved in social work, in religion. I've always had religion, but I spend more time on religion. I read, I watch telly, and I live a good life, to the glory of God. You see, when you begin to think that it was not until 2007 that women started to get equal pay in tennis tournaments. And it was something that was fought for. Little things like that does not add to equality. But when it was done, it may be small, but at work, even at work in employment, women are still discriminated against. And most women do 2 jobs. They look after the home, and they do the normal work that a man does in an office. Why I fail to understand this inequality in the treatment of women is that the work, the responsibilities in the workplace is not reduced for women, even though we do not want to be paid the same salary as men. It's a fight that has continued, and in that area, I think we need to do more to push for more recognition. Women have contributed immensely to the society. The men that are now resisting equal pay were brought up by women. That's what I do not understand, that they can think like that. We continue to push.
But how can we speed this up?
By bringing it to the attention of world powers, recognition by every country of equal opportunities, equal pay. I want to know, somebody to explain to me the jobs that women cannot do.
Yeah.
They've contributed immensely. Even in the new thing, IT, we're well at par with men. So I do not see the reason for it. Unfortunately, I did not experience it, because when I left university, I practiced law briefly in my uncle's chambers before I went to University of Zambia as a lecturer. There, my position was enhanced in the sense that I was a foreigner, and I got all the benefits of being a foreigner, serving in their service. Fortunately, in Nigeria today, the federal government does not discriminate in terms of salaries. Whether you're a man or a woman, you get the same salary scale, and you are promoted on equal basis. Kudos to the federal government, to Nigeria for that. But in the private sector, things are different. In some companies, this is the area that we have to work on, because the job content is the same. Some of these facilities are available in Nigeria. I learned by being a member of the Society for the Disabled that every government body must admit a certain percentage of women and of disabled people. Most times this opportunity is not taken. They are bound to employ them. We continue to push for that to be implemented in most ministries. It's important because it's there. You have to take a certain percentage of disabled people to work in government positions. It's important that we work to enforce that rule in our society. When it comes to discrimination, Nigeria is way ahead of some developed countries, because we, through slavery, we faced discrimination right from the beginning. We now know how to resist it. But in my country, Nigeria, in the federal government, in the state government, there is no discrimination. It may happen in private organizations, but they must continue to push to let them understand that the job content is the same. Well, you see, traditionally, under our culture, women are in the other room. To borrow the quotation.
Yeah.
That's our society, that's our culture. It's going to take a long time to evolve. In my time, female education was not so-called popular. It's only the educated few that strove to send their children to school, their girl child to school. They end up trading with their mothers or going to market and getting married off early. But as education began to rise in our community. Its value was seen by my parents and others of their contemporaries to educate the girl child. And I believe the society is benefiting from that. So we must continue to push for the education of women, of girls. I have thought that, when I read that, the certain state government has appointed look at our National Assembly, 4 women in the Senate. Isn't that shameful? And that is the society. We have to continue to push women up. Let these political parties know that we want women. Let us organize ourselves to continue to vote for women massively. I give kudos to our governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. His cabinet women is well represented in his cabinet. And I enjoy that. I love him for that. And I continue to urge him to do more. He's done a lot. I think Lagos State has the largest representative of women in cabinet. First of all, they have to project themselves in their office space, their workspace. Let everybody know that they are equal to the task. Let us organize. There's a lot of society groups and societies that cater for the interest of women. I believe now violence against women is reducing in the society because there are sanctions for such behavior. I must say that speaking to the organization in charge of violence against women, I was amused to learn that some men come there to complain that they are also being violated and abused.
Yes, it's a two-way thing.
It's a two-way thing. So that is reducing our society. Education of the girl child is important. We have to let the locals know that education is important. Let them showcase to them the lives of those who have been educated and who are holding high positions. I'm glad that our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has returned history to the classrooms. It's important. Let them know about people that have contributed to the development of our societies and country. It's important. Yes, it's education. It's education. Once people are educated and they know that there is nothing a man can do that a woman cannot do when it comes to the workplace. We have women engineers, miners, and also all of that. Give me a job specific that a woman cannot do, then I'll change my views. So the moment you begin to upgrade education, let government now continue to vote more for education. I don't believe we are doing enough. There is a UN convention, and I think Nigeria is part of that convention, that a certain amount of a nation's income should be devoted to education. I'm not sure whether Nigeria is complying with that. But some Some states are better than others. And we must, education, I believe in education of the girl child. Some states now are taking children, girls off the street. Walking is completely prohibited. Things like that will help. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we are not advanced enough to use our votes to change things. We are still not voting for individuals. We are voting for parties, irrespective of performance. Education will help. And when we join other nations for the same purpose, we get results. Our organizations who are fighting for women in Nigeria should join worldwide organizations to showcase our own situation and learn. I believe that when you talk to others, you come back with ideas on how to improve things. So we must improve things by telling women in positions to show, to continue to prove that they are more than up to the task. It will not come to us on a platter of gold. We must show by our actions and behavior that we are up to the task. Of course, some women are wrong in claiming equal rights to their husbands in the house. I completely abhor that behavior. Even though they are husband and wife, the man in my culture remains the head. He should be respected. His views should be respected. It's only now the condition of living is so high that you join the two incomes together to run the house. In the past, it was the men that ran the house to pay for everything. Maybe some of these women are thinking that because they are contributing a quota to the development, that they have equal rights. Yes, they have equal rights in the upbringing of the children, in their homes and everything. But respect is important. That will keep the home, and the children will learn and imbibe it into their own children too. Equal right does not, in my view, mean that you can be good, can not submit to your husband's wishes. Equal rights means something differently. Respect comes out of it. It's important. I go out and I'm like appalled at the way women dress. There's a competition to show as much of your body, to do that as your as much of your body that you can. It's absolutely disgusting. They're not women. They're no longer women. The exposure, things that if you did in my time, a member of the community will cover you with a cloth and send you home. Because community mattered at that time. You dare not misbehave outside your compound because this community is watching you and reprimanding you if you go wrong, if you behave badly outside. That is lost. And that is why you see people, even their dressing, show disrespect to womanhood and to themselves and to the community. We must teach our children etiquette of dressing, speech, how to think and speak in a decent manner. We don't have it anymore. We're losing it, and it's shameful because people are appreciating naked women on the streets. Both sides. If people dress badly and you tell them and ignore them, they won't try the next time. For instance, I believe nobody can dress to come to my house or to come to my party like a naked woman. I will turn her back. I will turn her back. So that's the type of thing that we should all do. Let the people doing this know that we do not appreciate things like this. When the society itself corrects it, we must correct it individually. If their parents cannot correct it, we must, by ignoring them and not allowing them to come near us. Show our women that have contributed to the society. Show them, showcase them, showcase them.
Yeah.
We have the first woman senior advocate of Nigeria. We have Okonjo. We have, in the UN. We have all sorts. We have, what's this pharmaceutical woman? She's done so much. The younger ones are there. Little ones like Shadi Okoya is managing her husband's company and doing well. Let's encourage them. They are young. The young ones, they are working to improve the society. There's so many of them out there. We should showcase them. Let them know that we have women who are of top quality, intelligent, and well-behaved, and they dress well. Dressing well is dressing in a manner that is appealing to the eyes, not nakedness. That's my darling, this new CJN of Nigeria.
Okay.
Who do that? I did talk about Kikiri. I mean, we're there. Female CJN. Yeah. And there are so many female chief judges all over the Federation. There are so many in the medical profession, in the engineering profession. We have pilots. So let them know that there is nothing that a woman cannot do. In IT, in everything, women are moving forward. We should showcase them. We should let their pictures be seen in our newspapers, in our news, in everything, to encourage young girls that you too can get there. If they don't see, and if they don't know the history of these women, how they got there, they too will not be inspired. We have to inspire the young people with the achievements of women achievers. Kekere rose from magistrate to right to the top. I admire her. She's well composed, well behaved. Some of these people, when they become something, they lose their heads. They start being, no, she's so respectful, well behaved, well dressed. I don't think she would allow herself or her children to come out naked. Never. So people like that, Okonjo are the same. We have a lot.
Cocoa remains a significant cash crop in Nigeria, predominantly produced by small-scale farmers in the country's southwest region. Historically, cocoa served as a major source of foreign earnings until the 1970s, when the discovery of petroleum shifted the focus away from agriculture. Despite various challenges from its introduction in 1807 to the present, efforts by successive governments and the resilience of cocoa farmers have sustained its production. To better optimize productivity and ensure fair prices for farmers and high economic returns for the government, the Cocoa Marketing Board, CMB, was established in 1947. However, the goal was not totally achieved as pricing policy weren't favorable, discouraging farmers from producing export crops, and that eventually led to the board's abolition in 1986. This resulted in reduced yields and lower quality cocoa beans. Meanwhile, the Millennium era witnessed a shift in farmers' focus towards more economically viable crops like oil palm due to the high cost and intensive care required for cocoa production. Cocoa production faces several obstacles, including limited access to fertilizers, unfavorable climate conditions, pest infestation, poor infrastructure, and land shortages. Also, herders' attacks on farmers have deterred farmers from expanding their farmlands. According to research, despite challenges, cocoa production has empowered many farmers and more stakeholders in the value chain, improving their living standards, enabling them to provide education for their children, cover medical expenses, and build better homes. Concerning the future of cocoa farming in Nigeria, there are mixed opinions among farmers. Some are hopeful that government reinvestment and addressing current challenges can revive the sector's past success. Others are pessimistic due to the persistent issues and the trend of farmers shifting to other crops. Regardless, hope remains for the sector. Solutions like improving land-labor relations, infrastructure, and financial support could revitalize cocoa production, reduce out migration, stabilize prices, and enhance value chain development, ultimately securing a brighter future for Nigerian cocoa farming and its stakeholders. Ojai Michael, reporting for SOUQ News.
human achievements, goal setting, hard work, and dedication have been proven to be some of the elements towards success. The journey of remarkable individuals with lasting impact on the world are often filled with manifold stories, but through determination, they build their lives and make extraordinary contributions. Join me on the story of a trailblazer in business and philanthropy, Aiboje Ig Mokwede, a lawyer turned banker who has done well for himself, made an indelible mark within the banking sector, and has continued in his ambition of touching lives within Nigeria and across Africa. Aiboje Ig Mokwede. Within the Nigerian business space and philanthropy, few names resonate and are respected profoundly. Such is Aiboje Ig Mokwede. If you're just watching, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great documentaries. Like, share, and comment. Known as a successful business mogul, banker, investor, and a philanthropist who cares about making difference, Ig Mokwede's story is one of hard work, creativity, and a desire to drive positive change across Africa. Born to civil service parents on September 24, 1966 in Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria, he hails from Sabongida Ora, Edo State. Aiboje spent his formative years with his parents in Lagos, where he had his primary education at St. Saviour's School. He enrolled into Federal Government College, Kaduna, and at age 16, he was admitted to study law at the University of Benin, where he graduated at a young age of 19 with a law degree, displaying early signs of his exceptional intellect and drive. Called to the Nigerian bar in 1987, he started his career in 1988 as a lawyer at Continental Merchant Bank during his National Youth Service Corps NYSC year. In 1991, he joined Guarantee Trust Bank PLC, GT Bank, where he rose to prominence as an executive director. His big moment came in 2002 when he led the acquisition of Access Bank, turning it from a small regional bank into a big player, a banking powerhouse in the industry. Throughout his career, Ig Mokwede has taken on different leadership roles, including Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Access Bank until December 2013. He later became President of the Nigerian Stock Exchange and retired in 2017, but remains on the National Council. Bowing out of Access Bank, he was given a befitting send-off.
No man or combination of men could transform what we met in Access Bank in 2002 into what would cause this type of people to come and celebrate today in office.
His foresight and managerial acumen have brought him chairmanship and directorial roles in prominent organizations such as African Finance Corporation, Associated Discount House Limited, Petrolon Energy, among others, thereby contributing greatly to their growth and sustainability. Hard work, they say, pays. Aigboje Mokwede's hard work earned him many awards and honors. He received the National Productivity Order of Merit Award in 2009, conferred with Commander of the Order of the Niger CON in 2011 by the then President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, during his administration for contributing to banking and finance. As a visionary leader, he was installed into the E&Y World Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame in 2011 as the EY West Africa Entrepreneur of the Year and named African Banker of the Year in 2013. These amounting to how much others values his leadership and ideas. He got honored by Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers of Nigeria. Beside his work, Aige Mokwede also gives back to society. This philanthropist is involved in efforts to improve governance and healthcare across Africa through his Aige Mokwede Foundation, making a positive impact on people's lives. He initiated the Adopt a Healthcare Facility program in 2019, and he is the chairman of ABC Health and director of the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. He is the founder of chairman of Coronation Capital Limited since 2015 and has contributed to the growth of the Coronation ecosystem. Coronation Capital Limited, with other arms of its businesses, also bettered Coronation Art Gallery in Lagos on the 13th of May 2022, a platform for showcasing exceptional works of art that embodied the essence of cultural significance and artistic expression. Aigboje Mokwede founded Coronation Art Gallery with the vision of democratizing art, foster appreciation and understanding for the artistic world, and making it accessible to a wider audience.
Bumi Augusto is, I knew Bumi when she was born. I know her parents, and I know all her siblings. She's a beautiful, wonderful, gifted Nigerian artist, and just like many of the others here. The piece behind me is a triptych, long throats, all up to longer throats. I actually thought that I was going to caption this collection. This is really a microcosm of my entire collection, but I was going to capture it longer throats because this represents a lot of this collecting I did during COVID. Many of these pieces actually were not in Nigeria. I brought them home. I'll tell you something. I'm known for collecting masters, the Enwonwus and the Yusuf Grillos and so on. I still do, okay? And I kind of stuck to that genre of classic. Those are the people who, when I was growing up, as I told you, those are the people who were my parents, either just older than them or contemporaries. So I grew up knowing these artists as my uncles, okay? So my first collecting was, from works, done by masters like that. After a while, these works are really priced in. But Bumi Augusto, her works, which may appear even a bit pricey now, in 10 years' time, So this is also hosted by Coronation, which are companies that are all about wealth creation. So there's also the investment angle. I don't collect for investments, but with all that these great Nigerian and African artists, the young ones, have been doing, and the way their prices have been rising, I've got to focus on investments now.
Collaborated with the Nigerian Civil Service to digitalize work processes and public service delivery in October 2021. Recognizing 43 public servants at the 2022 Civil Service Award ceremony on behalf of the Aige Mokwede Foundation with an encouragement of cash prize worth 500,000 naira for each awardees.
It is my understanding that annually 43 public servants will be recognized in this fashion. And so, with effect from the 2022 Civil Service Awards ceremony, on behalf of the Aige Mokwede Foundation, we will be putting an endowment with effect from this award session, whereby each awardee receives a cash prize of 500,000 naira. And in the interest of digital culture, the credits will go directly to your accounts.
Among his many certifications, affiliations, and fellowships, Aige Mokwede holds Triumph MBA from the London School of Economics, New York University, and HEC Paris. He attended an executive management program at Harvard Business School in the year 2000, and he is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, also appointed to the International Advisory Board of Oxford University's Blavatnik School of Government. Aige Mokwede is a honorary fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria and had received an honorary doctorate of science from Olabisi Onabanjo University in 2018. Also honored by Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers of Nigeria last year in a groundbreaking ceremony.
If the operators of our markets, of a nation's capital markets, are properly resourced in terms of skill, capacity, and conduct, nothing can stop that nation and its citizens from leaving the tarmac and moving from third world to first world. Nothing can stop it. The correlation between the advancement of financial markets and the advancement of national economies is perfect. It's not almost, it is perfect. And so, you understand why I have tied myself to the future of this market and why I have tried from the very word go that my voice was heard to get the public sector and the elite within the private sector to understand that we cannot ignore this market.
Aiboje is the first African co-chairman of the Global Business Coalition on Health and chairman of the Friends of the Global Fund, Africa. The business mogul has made significant donations to the Global Fund. He is the vice chairman of the Global Citizen Nigeria and creator of the Nigerian Solidarity Support Fund. There is always a story, or say many stories, behind every success, and this Aige Mokwede has shared in a book called Leaving the Tarmac, Buying a Bank in Africa, Red Door 2020. In it, he talked about how he and others turned Access Bank into a major success, showing his determination and vision.
On a personal note, I think the first thing is that I left Access Bank. I retired as CEO in 2013, and I knew that I needed time off just to recharge my battery, so to speak. I didn't think I would have more than a year and a half before my perpetual motion character, kind of took over once again. And so I wanted to use that period as productively as possible. So I had a year and a half, and what better to do in a year and a half, than write a book. And for me, it was an opportunity, for posterity to tell the story to my children in a structured sense, because before then, I just hadn't had the opportunity to sit down with my kids and say, this is what I did today, or this is what I did yesterday, and these are the highs and the lows of this journey. Herbert and I went through a hell of an experience between 2002 and 2013, and for him that experience has continued. We learned so much, we were exposed to so many things. We had really, really great mountains that we climbed. We scaled some pretty high heights and so on. In a sense, it would be very selfish of us to, lock this up in a box and not share it with others, because I think our experience, can be used by any other person who has an ambition to go out there and do, whatever it is they seek, whatever it is they dream about. And so the notion of writing for posterity and recording this period in my life and probably more important, the notion of preparing a way for others, those are the things that drove me to write the book.
Ige Imokwede, former managing director of Access Bank Group, returns to lead Access Holdings, replacing Abubakar Jimo. His return after a decade aims to realize the shared vision of the late co-founder, Herbert Wigwe. Access Holdings PLC, trading under the Access Corp ticker on the Nigerian exchange, began to feel Igboje's progressive impact as its stock value increased by 1.52% following his appointments as chairman. Igboje Ige Imokwede is back again. Ige Imokwede is married to Ofovwe Ige Imokwede and has 4 children, namely Ohiozoje, Aima, Morenike, and Renown. He has been able to balance his family life with his professional achievements, setting an example as a leader and role model to many. He is an ordained minister of the Promised Land Ministry. In the annals of Nigerian business history, his story stands out, showcasing the power of vision, perseverance, and giving back to the community. From his humble beginnings to global recognition, he inspires others to dream big and make a difference. His legacy remains as he continues to make strides in business and philanthropy.
Cashew nuts, ranked among Ivory Coast top cash crops, play a crucial role in the country's economy, generating substantial revenue and supporting livelihoods across the country. As the world's leading exporter of raw cashew nuts, Ivory Coast contributes an estimated $800 million annually to its economy and also serves as a vital source of income for over 410,000 families, particularly in rural areas where few other opportunities exist. Cashew trees flourish in Ivory Coast northern regions, including Bondukau and Savannah, known for its high-quality nuts and extensive plantations, just as Worondogu and Bagwe in the north central and northwest are also emerging as key producers. These regions not only drive Ivory Coast cashew production, but also support local livelihoods and economic growth. However, the country with over 29 million citizens is yet to fully realize the potential of its cashew industry. Despite being the top producer, the country processes only 7% of its cashew domestically, resulting in lost opportunities for value addition and job creation. Specifically, a recent data reveals that only 22% of the country's cashew nut output was processed domestically in 2023, even as the volatility of global cashew prices poses risks to farmers' income and overall economic stability. Concerns also arise regarding labor practices in some cashew farms and the environmental impact of deforestation for new plantations. To address these challenges and maximize the benefit of its cashew industry, Ivory Coast must focus on key strategies moving forward. These include investing in local processing facilities to boost job creation, export value, and farmers' incomes. Furthermore, the Ivorian government body overseeing the cashew sector, ARECA, must promote fair trade practices and ethical sourcing to ensure better prices for farmers and improve working conditions. Sustainable farming practices will also help to protect the environment and ensure long-term cashew production. According to a recommendation made at a workshop organized by the World Bank, tax exemptions and access to credit facilities will help to tackle some of these challenges. Furthermore, the private sector can also invest in research to develop high-yielding cashew varieties, improve processing techniques, explore new cashew products, as well as develop and implement digital platforms that connect farmers to market in order to facilitate financial transactions. Organizations like the Africa Cashew Initiative, ACI, must also assist in data compilation in the value chain at macro, meso, and micro level. By addressing this and harnessing its cashew potential, the country can further enhance its economy and build a more sustainable future for its citizens. Israel Adeyemi reporting for SOUQ News.
Cocoa has more than tripled in costs over the past year and is up 129% this year. The rise in cocoa prices is likely due to a global cocoa shortage. Climate change-induced drought has ravaged crops in West Africa, which contributes around 80% of the world's cocoa output. According to the International Cocoa Association, global cocoa supply will decline by almost 11% over the 2023-24 season. The world produces nearly 6 million tons of cocoa beans each year, and consumers may begin to feel the impact of this shortage by the end of this year or early next year. Nigeria's cocoa earnings in the first quarter of this year surged by 279%. Driven by a sharp increase in its prices in the international market. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBC, indicates that in the first 3 months of the year, the value of cocoa exports totaled 408.66 billion naira. This represents an increase of 279% from the 179.5 billion naira recorded in the first 3 months of 2023. When compared to the preceding quarter, total cocoa exports increased by 138% from 117.29 billion naira recorded in the preceding quarter. Despite the significant depreciation of the naira in the first quarter of the year, the dollar value of cocoa exports saw a significant increase both year on year and quarter on quarter. There was a 63.3% increase in the dollar value of Nigeria's exports between the fourth quarter of 2023 and the first quarter of 2024. Using the closing rate of the dollar to the naira at the end of December 2023, cocoa exports for the period stood at $188.83 million. This increased to $312.19 million at the end of the first quarter of 2024, using the exchange rates at the end of March. Year on year, the dollar value of exports in the first quarter of 2023 stood at $223 million. Bayo Olaoye, SOUQ News.